afternoon, everybody. It's time for our interesting fireside chat. I would like to invite on stage Swati Mehra, founding partner, Sixth Sense Ventures. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome her with a huge round of applause. With 17 years of investment and research experience, Swati brings unparalleled expertise in driving long-term value creation across various sectors. As the founding partner at Sixth Sense Ventures, she navigates the dynamic landscape of early-stage funding, overseeing the investment process from sourcing to exit. Joining Swati in the fireside chat, we have Vikas Nahar, founder and CEO, Happilo. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause. Vikas's remarkable journey, stemming from humble agricultural roots to pioneering entrepreneurship, promises to inspire. With a blend of resilience, innovation, and unwavering dedication, Vikas has carved his path to success. In this captivating fireside chat, Vikas and Swati will explore the evolution of entrepreneurship, the dynamics of the health food industry, market trends, and the strategies behind building a thriving brand. Their insights will offer invaluable lessons on navigating challenges and seizing opportunities in the business world. Swati and Vikas, over to you. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for them, please.
Thank you very much. Hi, Vikas. Good to meet you after a bit. Okay, let me probably get started with the space which we are at Happilo operating at, right? So, yeah, so I was saying that the Indian dry fruit industry is all of a large $5 billion category, but 85% of it is still unbranded, unorganized. So at Sixth Sense, we are large believers of the consumer shift of unorganized channels moving to organized, unbranded segments moving to branded. So what has been your experience, Vikas? Initially, what prompted you to really take up this category when you started Happilo? And I think you started around 2015, 2016. So how has the journey been over the last 7-8 years for you?
Thank you, Swati. Thank you, CMPL, for having both of us here. I think, it's been a couple of years or more than that since the last time. I'll try to, it's working now. So, I think on the category itself, I think as you rightly told, it's quite a decent sized category, a $5 billion category, and ever evolving and more consumers actually looking at the category. And even the likes of Mr. Revant, who spoke before us, promoting the eating nutrition and eating all well-labeled products. I think the dry fruits and nuts category and related snacks fall well into it in terms of nutrition health. So we were one of the firm believers back in 2016-17 when there was no actually a brand existed in the category. I wanted to create something from India for the world. There are only 1 or 2 brands across the globe, 1 or 2 in Southeast Asia and 1 in US, which are largely focusing on nut-based snacking, for example. So we believe that India has a large consumer market, given the right product at the right pricing, well branded, and if we are able to communicate to the end consumer, we thought we can actually build the category from there. And that's what happened when Amazon, Flipkart wanted to sell food in India. We actually worked very closely with them to establish the category. So it has been quite a journey, and we feel we just started and a lot of space to cover. And talking about the unbranded to branded, I think when we started, it was actually completely unorganized per se. And now we see a lot of younger brands coming in, a lot of establishments also trying to have a look at it. And I think. So we just there are a lot of things can be done in the category, and definitely feel a lot of shift will happen from being unorganized to organized, because the new India actually wants to eat something which is branded, well communicated, and also reflects their persona into it.
Yeah, very true. I think we at Sixth Sense are big believers of disruption, especially in categories which are large and where the consumer is demanding more newer age products. So I think you guys really sit in the center of it. But tell me something, because if you look at the segment, it is fairly commoditized, if I can use that word, and so price competitiveness becomes very, very critical, right? And overarching that, now we're trying to build a brand which requires fair bit of front-end investments. So that would require you to make a very, very efficient back end, right from your supply chain, procurement, your processing. So what is it that you have been able to achieve over the last few years to really get that critical aspect locked in, to be able to get good margins and really scale up in this segment?
Rightly said, not only the dry fruit segment per se, I feel every food product in India is commoditized, right? You take atta, for example, water, for example, everybody thought the brand cannot be made in that. But still we have brands which command like 60-70% market share, which are going on to dominate. Every category I feel was once a commodity before it was being branded and communicated to the end consumer. Today you cannot imagine buying a loose salt or a loose water or even a loose atta for that matter. It's gone are the days where people will actually want to prefer that. So I believe every product, every category has a say, where someday will come when everybody wants to look at the branded side of the story itself, because it's more about hygiene and the trust, the promise what the consumer is willing to pay for the same, and also the there. Talk about now how, in terms of brand building, we always believed that most important is to build a brand larger than life in the category, where you associate with the category itself, right? We always wanted to associate, if you see all our advertisements, what we do, we always try to communicate that dry fruit is equal to Happilo and Happilo is equal to dry fruit. So we wanted to have always that play. And we also parallelly started building on our backward integration. We are one of the largest importers of nuts from USA and Afghanistan. We have pioneered backward integration. We work very closely with the farmers, try to do long-term contracts with them, and also ensure that we have the consistent quality throughout the year, irrespective of some issues which are out of our control. And so that's we are able to establish now. So that is well poised, and we also have aspirations to open our offices in US and UAE as well, which are one of the largest sourcing centers, and will also act like a marketing office for us. And we have actually registered Happilo as a trademark in more than 100 countries. So we believe that we are not only a national brand, but we want to actually be a global brand working with coming out of India. And currently we are available in more than 6 countries today.
Lovely. And, you mentioned about Amazon, Flipkart early on in our discussion, and we have been a digital first brand. And also in the last maybe 7-8 years since you started Happilo, you've seen distribution formats really evolve, right? So while COVID accelerated the whole adoption of e-commerce, now you've seen quick commerce becoming the mode of choice, given the convenience of a 10-minute delivery. So given these changes in distribution formats, and for a brand like ours where it has been a more offline purchase, right? Today all Kirana stores have it as a private label product. How has your journey been with these multiple channels, with these changes in quick commerce? Do you see these channels becoming very relevant for our growth maybe over the next 3-5 years?
Yeah, it has been a great journey, to be honest. As a brand, we have to be on your toes every day. You cannot, for example, when we started, we always thought modern trade is the place where we will be able to drive business, because anything which is branded from a unorganized category, people only buy into the modern trade. But so this is quickly changed when the COVID hit us. We had to go back to marketplaces and try to establish the business there. Like every other food manufacturer or brand, we also had shut down the business for some time due to the COVID. We went to the local departments, the commissioner office, and tried to convince them that nutrition is very important during the COVID times, and we are selling the product which are actually people are perceiving for immunity building and protein and things like that. So we're allowed to open because we had the backing from the likes of Flipkart, Amazon. They said, we want your products. Can you convince the authorities to open the facility? So that was one of the changing part for us. If you had thought like anyone else that okay, there's no business, nobody will be there, and we cannot run the factory, we would have actually not been able to grow and to reach the scale what we have done so far. But considering that marketplaces grew, then the entire D2C phenomena started, where everybody wanted to sell from their own website, trying to connect to the consumer. We also do that as well. Then we also expanded to general trade outlets. We are available in more than 15,000 stores in India. Because we believe creating a brand is always an omni-channel play. You cannot depend on only one channel or one category per se. Then the advent of quick commerce in the last couple of years has been very surprising, and the kind of growth they have taken. We always, all the people thought that Amazon is irreplaceable, and today they have taken away 35% of the food business share. The quick commerce has taken away from Amazon itself. So you have to be on your feet. What was a great business 5 years back, 10 years back might not be relevant to not even be relevant tomorrow. So you have to keep changing with the times and trying to adapt. So we believe in having exposure to all channels possible and trying to leverage how much we can. And in fact, the quick commerce business is scaling like 100% year on year for us.
Okay, great. But tell me something, because on distribution, given that it is a product which is today a private label product for many of the modern trade guys or even retailers, and it's an easy product to package and place, right? So what is allowed us, or what is ensured that we get shelf space and we get that market share in this category across Flipkart, Amazon, or even quick commerce? Because as a retailer or as a channel partner, if I get a product which I can just package and I still make 25% margins, I probably don't want to have a brand, right? So what has really fueled this change, which has led us to get market share in these channels?
See, it has been very simple. We always knew that private label will be one of the competitions for us in the store itself. But the disadvantage the private label has is the consumer doesn't want to actually look at private label because he wants the same product to be available across multiple platforms. And the kind of innovations what we've done in the back end, our product stays fresh for like good 12 months. We have integrated from farm to factory and factory to the table kind of a phenomena where we process everything very fast and we have the right control on the specifications and quality. And we also have some interesting MAP technology which allows us the product to retain its freshness for a longer period of time. And also we have invested in a lot in technology in terms of our sorting machines comes from Italy and our roasting machines comes from US, and which are the best in terms of capabilities across the globe. So it might look a very similar product as an appearance, but when you consume it, you actually know the product is far superior than what anybody else can do. And for modern trades, private label is just an avenue where they want to keep it so that they have a price parity and they can actually leverage some extra margins out there, because nobody wants to do a business where there's no margin out there. So, being one of the early movers in the category, we always have that advantage where even if a modern trade wants to keep a private label, he will always consider one or two brands, and more or less Happilo is one of the first brands there to be considered because they also want a category leader to be there in the store itself. And private label also, they only focus on one or two products or maximum the base category per se. They don't try to do very innovations in that. For example, we have launched, we have expanded from dry fruits to a lot of flavored products, a lot of party snacks, a lot of 4 p.m., 8 p.m. snacks, and we have also expanded to a lot of health bars and dry fruit based mueslis. So we expand the entire horizon wherever dry fruit can be used as an ingredient. So we believe dry fruit nutrition is very important, and as a country where we are protein deficient, I think consuming more products based on dry fruits and that health factor is actually the one which will drive growth as well in the future. So we don't worry about private labels. I mean, they are long existed. If that was the worry, as a brand, we would have never actually done what we have done so far. And still we believe that a lot of things has to be done. That only can come from channel expansion and how deeper we can go in the market.
And I know you mentioned the product journey moving from maybe plain dry fruits to getting into snacking. And when we look at health bars or cereals, I'm assuming you will want to touch upon contracting as a space for us to manufacture. And since we are part of the CMPL Expo, at 6 Sense, we've actually been one of the early backers of contracting as a space. The thought for us has been that legacy brands earlier controlled consumer wallet share and thereby control the entire supply chain. With the opening up now where disruption is happening across segments, new age brands will not want to invest in back end, right? Because just like Happilo, today we would want to invest more in the front end than actually get manufacturing capabilities. So how are you seeing that as we get into a more snacking oriented segment? Do you see us also tying up with many of these contract manufacturers? And also, was your opinion on new age brands actually using contracting as a segment?
Yeah, Swati rightly told. I think you are one of the pioneers in looking at the contract manufacturing facilities per se. Because earlier there was no focus on anybody could invest in a contract manufacturing unit. Even as a brand ourselves, we always believed to have our own manufacturing facility. We can control the quality end to end, because we always believed that will be the differentiating factor when we go out there in the market. But if you talk about expansion, when you want to expand quickly and try new products, we always want to pivot it with a contract manufacturer first. And also, I have two theses there. One, either the manufacturing facility has to be close to the source or close to the market, right? For example, our facility is based out of Bangalore, and South is the biggest market where we have. So tomorrow I want to open a facility in Delhi. I would rather go for a contractual manufacturing in Delhi itself, because Delhi is the second biggest market. So two things work in terms of new age brands. How they think is two things. One, either you have to be close to the source, where you can source the product faster and process it so that the cost of moving the material is lower, or you have to be close to the market, because once the product is manufactured, the volumetric weight goes up. So then ideally transporting from say south of India to north of India will have a specific lead time and also a specific cost associated to it. So I know that's where the contract manufacturing, the beauty of it comes to play. You will not be able to establish 4 units in 4 part of the world where you have to invest like $5-7 million in every facility. You always want to go for a contract manufacturing quickly and want to cover the market. So new age brands always believe in investing more in the front end and brand building per se, and contract manufacturing always was thought of being easily available earlier. And now with the advent of so many around, I think there's no actually need to build factories across the nation. But I firmly believe that you should have one mother facility, one unit has to be there, because otherwise you'll not be able to innovate a lot of things. But for subsidiaries and units coming across close to the market, I think you should always expand there.
Okay, I'm going to probably wear my VC hat now and take up the question on the fundraising and the whole requirement for capital, because so you've grown at an extremely fast pace over the last 8 years, and we are today the leading brand in the dry food category. But in that journey, you have inducted external partners, taken external funding from private equity as well as VC. So just for the budding entrepreneurs out here, how has been your journey with fundraising? How critical you think it is to have a partner, who's obviously from an investment standpoint, but also becoming a good sounding board for you in your early journey?
Yeah, I think, it all depends on the startups, how they pursue, what kind of vision they have, and how fast they want to grow. I firmly believe that without external funding also, the brands can establish and can do the journey. But if you want to do it fast, I think the key is to have funding with you so that you can grow faster. And it's all about organic growth and inorganic growth. Organically you can achieve, but in today's era where there's so much of competition, so much of evolvement of business, what you're trying to build today might not be relevant actually 5 years down the line. So if you don't build it fast, somebody else will. So there's always saying that it doesn't matter who did it first, it's about who built it faster and larger. So that's where the VC capital actually comes into play. And I also believe that if you're a consumer brand like us, it's always important to have partners who actually have that consumer mindset as well. So somebody who's a SaaS investor or invest in IT companies will not be able to understand the dynamics of a consumer business works, right? So it's very important to have like-minded people, and we have been fortunate enough to have good 2 VCs backing us, A91 and Motilal Oswal as well. Both come from that consumer mindset where they focus on how we can build the category, how we can expand outside, and they don't happen to interact on a day-to-day basis. They don't want to interrupt in what business you're trying to do, but we usually catch up once in a month or once in a quarter, and they act like a sounding board where we discuss a lot of strategies and where do we invest our next buck out there, and how do we build a brand, how do we expand to newer categories, what kind of product innovations we can do. So we discuss all those, but on a day-to-day operations there is no interference. But yes, whenever we have a doubt, or I particularly want to reach out to them, or we want to do some new hiring, we want to hire, say, any CFO for that matter. So it always, it's a great help where somebody from the board who understands consumer can help us hire the right talent, or, invest in the right IT systems, or, maybe expand to newer horizons.
Great. And you've also been an investor. We saw you a part of Shark Tank. And so how has your journey been? And I believe you have invested in some of these early stage startups. What is your feedback, or what would you like to share with some of the startups who are just kind of starting their journey today? What would you like to tell them?
Yeah, I've been an angel investor myself. I've invested in around 15 startups so far, but very small in my personal capacity because I don't have much bandwidth to give them as well. But I do meet them, say, once in a quarter or something, and just a quick phone call to understand what's happening. But largely for startups who are trying to just build a business out there, I think we should always build a business in a way that you don't need external capital. If you build in a way that you never want money to build the business, money will automatically come to you. But you always seek that once money comes in, I'll build something large, money might not come at all. So you should always keep your strategy in a way that without money you'll be able to survive and grow to an extent. Only for hyper growth you need to have growth capital. But if you want to capital right from at the initial stage, and capital come at a very expensive cost, you might have to dilute a lot of equity in the early stage. So I always believe that the 0 to 10 journey, the startups have to do it on their own so that they don't end up giving a lot of equity. The equity investments can be taken from a 10 to 100 or 100 to 1000 journey, where they need more growth capital, more expertise, and also people who have actually seen the journey of many other brands being able to do that. So it's very easy to take a couple of wrong decisions and actually burn the entire money out. So that's what I have to say. And in startups, it's easy. Like a lot of calls will be taken. It's always go by the gut and be passionate about what you're trying to do.
Yeah, and you mentioned about the 0 to 10 to 10 to 100 journey, right? So we at Sixth Sense have today backed about 58 companies, and most of them are in the branded space, right? So we are positioned as India's first consumer venture fund. The idea for us has been to partner with brands right from early stage to growth. And we've seen brands have very different life cycles or journeys from 0 to 10 to 10 to 100. You have probably already gone ahead in that journey, right? And how different do you think now it is for you to scale up? So getting to say 500-600 crores in revenues, you've already treaded that path, but now elements like building an organization, also getting the right investors, as you mentioned, the right channels, a lot of it now focuses on how Happilo as a brand will also be positioned. I have seen you morph to a healthy snacking brand from a pure dry fruit brand. But having said that, if you think of the space, Vikas, the whole food segment is talking about being healthier for you, right? What is that niche you think Happilo will now carve over the next, say, 5 years in that journey of getting to maybe a 1,500 crore revenue for yourself?
See, I always believe that from dry fruit, we'll always expand to dry fruit-based snacking, right? So today, the advent of makhanas, how the consumption has increased. We have also added the likes of chickpeas and peanuts to our portfolios, where they're rich in protein and also for an extended family of the nut family as well. So we always try to expand into healthier products where the brand can be extended to and largely can play like a healthy snacking space per se. We always want to have some goodness of dry fruits into that wherever possible. So that has been a thesis for us, and we always wanted to stand for healthy food alternatives where people can consume it guilt-free, and we always focus on how we can introduce products with low sugar or no sugar, and how can we actually make it very tasty on the palate, because I am a firm believer that if something is not tasty, it might be the healthiest thing on earth, but the consumer won't consume it. And second thing, on the price points as well, India as a market is very, very conscious on the cost what they are paying for a particular product. So I think if you can get the pricing theory right and the product has to taste good, and if you can make it healthy, then I think you got the perfect recipe how you can scale the brand for that. So I think, and again, being in India in this decade and trying to do something made in India and for the world, I think we are in the right space, and also with VCs like you backing startups. And in fact, I remember before my first trend, I had also come to your office to meet you as well. So with support like good VCs like you understand consumer, a lot of brands can actually have the aspirations to grow. I always believe that capital is never a deterrent. If you have the right product, right strategy, and you're able to show the proof of concept and build a little bit of business, I think you have a lot of backers for growth and the early stage as well.
Great. I'm going to wrap this up now, Vikas, with a final thing on 5 years out. Where will Happilo be? Will we see this as a listed company? Do you see this becoming a part of a larger FMCG play? So strategic is another option which we'd like to explore. So what is on your mind right now over the next 5 years?
This looks like a typical VC question when I go for a fundraise. To be honest, we would love to be listed like any other startup. We always dream of that. But we'll take things how it comes. We are very open in terms of maybe collaborating with a large FMCG also. But we believe that we ourselves can be that large FMCG who can actually acquire brands and build a large portfolio out there as well. But we are very open, and it depends how market responds to what we're trying to build and how much we can scale. IPO will definitely be a dream with the backers like Motilal Oswal in our board. I think IPO will be the first strategy what we want to do.
Great, lovely chatting up with you, Vikas, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Swati.
Any questions from the audience?
Hi Vikas. So you said that for a brand, omni-channel is very important, right? As we are a small D2C startup, we are very good on Amazon and our website currently. But if we also think of getting on offline, but when is the right time? Because we don't have investment to put and do in-store branding and everything. So how a small brand can manage online and offline? And when is the right time to get offline as well? Like start selling offline.
What is the category you're in?
So we are into gut health. So our whole Ayurveda gut health base.
See, I think for the category we're in, I think the website is a perfect platform for you because you can build a lot of trust and credibility there.
Yeah.
And again, you're doing it well in Amazon marketplaces, so you can easily expand to the lot of quick commerce of the world and Flipkart, Big Basket, and other platforms as well. So I think you should focus morely on the digital per se because gut health again will be a very niche in the initial phase. You can go to offline, but people will not understand it. Maybe then going forward, you can go for specialty clinics, you can go for specialty pharmacies as well, which can actually promote those kind of products. You don't need to actually do branding out there. If you have a good product, you're able to give good margins to the retailers, you'll be able to place the product. But I think the growth will come there. And then from there, you can actually look at maybe setting up your own smaller format, MBOs out there or EBOs out there and understand how you can actually scale it. But there's no right time or wrong time to actually go to the market. It all depends if you're ready and if you have the product. If you have the right price point, then you can scale GT as well. If your price point is like 100 and above, you'll always be focused on selling on larger format stores or a modern format stores. But if you have a price point of 10 and 20 and 30 things like that, you can actually scale to lakhs of stores in India.
Thank you.
Vikas, hi, just question here. Could you throw some light on your cost of acquisitions across channels and also retention? What's your strategy to retain and get the consumers to buy again?
See, typically, when we do customer acquisition, typically we have a ROAS of 10. Because for food businesses, you don't have the fancy gross margins what you have in cosmetics, like 70-80% what you have outside. There are a lot of stalls who can help you with that. In food, typically the cost of the product has to be very, very affordable to the end consumer. Because, for example, a 20 rupee namkeen cannot be sold at 30 rupees if you have a fabulous product. Right? You can always upsell it by 10-20%, but you cannot sell it by 1.5x. Other the product will have no takers. So we always believe if any platform is not giving us a 10 ROAS, return on ad spend, we will not be actually investing onto it. And retention, we do a lot of performance marketing. We ensure that the product is always visible at the top. We are bestsellers across Amazon, Flipkart, and other quick commerce platforms. We always ensure that the product is visible in the top fold. Because if you're not there in the top fold, you're not visible in the marketplace. With millions and zillions of products, if you're not there in the first or second page, there is no point being on the platform. It's good to have kind of a thing, but a consumer will never search. So the consumer is very, very finicky, and he has only 1 or 2 seconds of time span. So most important is to in the digital world, you have to do a good catalog out there, work on keywords, and always try to see if you can smartly be there in the first list or there. And if you have somebody who can keep tracking it on an hourly basis on what kind of positions you have on the platforms, and increase or decrease the bid accordingly. See, one thing we do is we typically reduce our budgets after 9 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock in the evening. What happens is typically we have observed that a lot of e-commerce, quick commerce customers only are active after 6 and around 11 o'clock. For quick commerce, it goes up till 12 as well. In the daytime, if you are spending and you're always in the first bracket, but there is no bias, you are actually spending a lot of money, but not able to get a good ROAS onto it. So you have to be a little smart, and you have to you have to invest money, but you cannot always invest money and see growth. You have to be very tactical and give more time to it, and eventually it will mature and give you great results.
What sort of innovative ideas are being implemented or thought of in the product development? Innovations in product development.
So in the product development, we have recently launched something called as Party Snack. We were always a 8 a.m. and a 4 p.m. snack company. We have also introduced an 8 p.m. snack now because we also wanted to capture that market as well. We introduced something like a smoked almond cashew mix, which actually is one of the crunchiest and best smoked flavored product in India today. With no added oils, come with the goodness of a lot of health promised to it. And being a high protein product, we are able to gel in well in terms of how we can place the product as well. And we have actually launched snacks as low as 20 rupees now, with the health quotient being there and no added oil promise also being there. So the innovations coming from pack sizes, from largely selling family sizes packs earlier. We are trying to sell single service packs to the market now. We are seeing how we can actually ensure that everyone in India consumes dry fruits, and not only the top 2-5% of India. How can we expand that horizon as well? Because I believe the biggest growth will come where more people are consuming. There was one thesis, I was there in an INC event recently, the International Nut Congress, where They're talking about if entire India consumes like 50 grams or 100 grams of dry fruit, 50 grams per day of dry fruit, the entire world's dry fruit production capacity will be consumed in less than 15 days only in India. So that's the kind of consumer base we have. How can we expand?
What is the difference between dry fruit and nuts?
Well, it's basically nuts are nuts. Dry fruits basically it's a fruit which is dried and preserved and stored for a longer period of time.
So cashew is not dry fruit, cashew is nut.
Cashew is a nut, but in India everything is dry fruits. But you go to US, nut is nut and dry fruit is dry fruit.
Okay, so India and US definitions are different.
Definition is not different. The perception and people how they understand is different. End of the day, the category is called as nuts and dry fruits. But in India, dry fruit nobody used to buy and eat. Only when you get it in Diwali, people used to eat. So they will not say, I got a nut. Nut is very English in nature. Dry fruit is more accepted and populated and more desi, you can say. But the difference is, US if you say I want a nut, they will give an almonds and cashews and pistachios. India if you say a dry fruit, almond is also a dry fruit in India.
Hi, Mr. Vikas. This side. Hi. I came from Qatar, and we are the importer of food items. Okay. How you think about you compete so many brands are there in Qatar from USA, Europe, and other countries? How can you meet the competition in the terms of pricing and taste?
Yeah, we have an advantage there actually. We are actually launched Qatar recently. We have a distributor partner there. The advantage is the cost of making the product in India is cheaper than the cost of making in US. It's a large difference, right? A typical minimum salary here is around 15,000 rupees. The same there is, it's the same in dollars and it's not affordable. So the cost, whatever the labor cost is there, manufacturing cost actually gets translated into the product itself. So that's why India is emerging as a big manufacturing hub for all the products as well. Earlier it was done by China because now China is not in great favor and India is emerging as a new destination. One is that, and second is the sourcing and capabilities and the how Indians are able to do it very in a very cost-effective way. That's the advantage what we are having. But still, I agree. Compared to an US brand or European or an Indian brand in the global sphere out there, the US and European brands capture a better premium and demand a better price for their products. Because we Indians were always never focused on building brands for the globe. It's in the last couple of decades where actually the focus has emerged. And we believe that we'll be one of the brands in the coming 4-5 years. We will take the Indian brands to the globe and make India proud and ourselves proud as well.
Hi Vikas, this is Stanley from UAE. Nuts being a very volatile business because we are also doing nuts. So how do you maintain the pricing? Because I see every month the prices going up and down. And I've been checking your online platforms where I see your prices being steady. So how do you maintain that? Because it's very difficult to do that.
See, we always believe that as a brand, the rate has to be very steady for the consumer. You cannot be very volatile in terms of the customer pricing per se. So we always believe that we always have that cushion where we are able to let go of margins or at least make more margins when the right market is there. And also we do a lot of forward contracts. For example, now if you see cocoa prices have increased by 200%. But still Cadbury will not increase the 10 rupee pack to 20 rupee pack, right? So they'll always have forward contracts and they are able to mitigate risk by that. But in the entire year, we might have changed the product price any one SKUs maybe 1 or 2 times. Otherwise, 95% of the products the prices will not change for us.
So basically, you maintain the mean for all the products.
Yeah, see, because we'll sell a lot of trail mixes, nut mixes and all. It's a combination of multiple products per se. There's a lot of ingredient play happening. So if there's one product which is actually a little expensive, it only contributes to 10% of the mix. It doesn't affect the overall costing per se. But if there are something which is affecting also, we have plans to mitigate the risk and buy in a forward. For example, the season is coming up from August. So we'll do our buying in June, July itself and have forward contracts there. So we reduce the risk of volatility from that and ensure that we pass on the benefits to the consumer.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, I must say that was quite an interesting fireside chat. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Swati Mehra and Vikas Nahar. Come on, a huge round of applause. I can't hear the claps. Come on, we can do better than that. To present them with a small token of appreciation, requesting a founder of CMPL, Vicky Menezes, to please come on stage and do the honors. And you're going to keep the claps flowing, ladies and gentlemen. Come on.